The cargo bay of the Hanyul's Hope smelled like rust and recycled air. Han Ji-woo checked her tablet for the third time that hour, counting crates and marking inventory numbers. It was boring work, but it paid for her passage across the stars. She had been on the ship for 3 months now, and every day felt the same. Captain Choi Hyun's voice crackled over the intercom. "We're stopping at Mining Station 47. 1 hour for supplies. Nobody wanders off." Ji-woo looked up from her work. Mining Station 47 was supposed to be abandoned. She had read about it in the ship's database. The mining company pulled out 2 years ago when the ore ran dry. Why would they stop there? She found out soon enough. The station was a floating graveyard of twisted metal and broken glass. The ship docked at one of the few remaining functional airlocks. Captain Choi needed spare parts, and abandoned stations were good places to find them cheap. Free, actually, if nobody was looking. Ji-woo wasn't supposed to leave the ship. Captain Choi had made that clear. But she saw Park Mina, the ship's medic, suiting up to go search for medical supplies. Yoon Taejin, the engineer, was going too. "They might need an extra pair of hands. Can I come?" Ji-woo asked. Park Mina looked at her with tired eyes. "Stay close. Don't touch anything that looks dangerous." The station was dark inside. Their helmet lights cut through the shadows, showing broken equipment and floating debris. Ji-woo helped them search through old storage rooms. Most of the good stuff was already gone, picked clean by salvagers. They found some batteries, a few tools, and a box of expired medicine that Park Mina said might still work. Then Ji-woo heard it. A sound like scraping metal coming from deeper in the station. "Did you hear that?" she asked. Park Mina was focused on her supplies. "Hear what?" "Nothing. Maybe nothing." But Ji-woo couldn't shake the feeling. Something was there. She told herself to ignore it. She told herself to stay with the group. But her feet moved anyway, following the sound down a dark corridor. Her light bounced off the walls, showing cracks and blast marks. There had been fighting here once. The corridor ended at a cargo hold. The door was half open, jammed in place. Ji-woo squeezed through the gap. What she saw made her freeze. There was a creature in the corner of the room. It was huge, maybe twice the size of a shuttle. Its body was covered in black scales that seemed to swallow light. It had too many eyes, glowing faintly like dying embers. Some of its scales were cracked and oozing something dark. It was breathing slowly, painfully. Every alarm in Ji-woo's head was screaming at her to run. This thing was wrong. It was dangerous. It was impossible. The creature's many eyes turned toward her. She expected it to attack. She expected to die. Instead, it just looked at her. There was something in that look. Something that felt like exhaustion. Like giving up. It was starving. Ji-woo's hand moved to her supply pouch. She had 3 ration bars left. They were supposed to last her until the ship's next supply run. She should save them. She should definitely not give them to a monster that might eat her instead. But she thought about being hungry. Really hungry. She thought about being hurt and alone in the dark, waiting to die. Her hands were shaking as she unwrapped the first ration bar. She tossed it toward the creature. The bar landed a few feet away from it. The creature didn't move. It just stared at the food, then at her like it didn't understand. "It's okay," Ji-woo said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." Slowly, carefully, the creature stretched out something that might have been a limb. It touched the ration bar. Then in one quick movement, it consumed the food. Ji-woo threw the second bar. Then the third. The creature ate them both. For a moment, they just looked at each other. The creature's eyes seemed less dim now. "Less hopeless. I have to go," Ji-woo whispered. "I'm sorry I don't have more." She turned and ran back through the corridor. Her heart was pounding. What had she just done? What had she just fed? Park Mina and Yoon Taejin were looking for her when she got back. "Where did you go?" Park Mina demanded. "I told you to stay close." "I got lost." "I'm sorry, they made it back to the ship." Captain Choi was angry about how little they found, but he ordered the crew to prepare for departure anyway. Ji-woo went back to her quarters and sat on her bunk, staring at her empty supply pouch. She tried to tell herself it didn't matter. The creature would probably die anyway. She had wasted her food on something that couldn't be saved, but she couldn't forget those eyes. The ship's engines hummed to life. They were leaving the station behind. Ji-woo felt a strange sadness. She would never know what happened to the creature. Then the alarm started screaming. "Unknown contact," someone shouted over the intercom. Something just came through the airlock. Jiwoo ran to the cargo bay with everyone else. Captain Choi was already there, along with Kale Roth, the security officer. He was an alien from a species Jiwoo couldn't pronounce, with gray skin and too many arms. He was holding a weapon. In the middle of the cargo bay was the creature. It looked bigger in the light, more terrifying. Its scales rippled like liquid shadow. All those eyes were fixed on one thing, Jiwoo. "Nobody move," Kale Roth said. His weapon was charged and ready. The creature took a step forward. Everyone else took a step back except Jiwoo. She didn't know why, but she wasn't afraid. Not really. She walked toward the creature. "Jiwoo, stop," Park Mina shouted, but Jiwoo kept walking. She stopped a few feet away from the creature. Up close, she could see the cracks in its scales were already healing. It looked stronger than it had on the station. She reached out slowly and touched its side. The creature made a sound, low and rumbling. It felt like a purr. "What did you do?" Captain Choi asked quietly. Jiwoo looked back at him. "I fed it." "You did what?" "On the station. It was starving. I gave it my rations." Kale Roth's weapon hummed with power. "That thing is dangerous. We need to kill it now before it kills us." But the creature just settled onto the floor of the cargo bay. It curled around itself like a cat. Its eyes closed except for two that stayed focused on Jiwoo. It wasn't leaving. Captain Choi rubbed his face. "This is a problem." Jiwoo sat down next to the creature. She didn't know what it was or where it came from. She didn't know what would happen next, but for the first time in months she didn't feel alone anymore. The creature's breathing slowed. It was falling asleep. In the harsh lights of the cargo bay, surrounded by scared people with weapons, the galaxy's deadliest beast looked almost peaceful, and it wouldn't leave Jiwoo's side. 3 days passed, and the creature refused to move from the cargo bay. It also refused to let Jiwoo out of its sight. Captain Choi called an emergency meeting in the bridge. Everyone was there except Jiwoo, who was stuck in the cargo bay with her new shadow. The creature got nervous when she tried to leave, making sounds that rattled the ship's walls. "We can't keep it," Captain Choi said, his voice firm. "It's dangerous." "It hasn't hurt anyone," Park Mina pointed out. She had been studying the creature from a safe distance, scanning it with her medical equipment. "In fact, it's been incredibly calm." "Calm?" Kale Roth slammed his hand on the table. "That thing destroyed 3 security drones when they got too close to the girl. It moves through shadows like they're doorways. It shouldn't exist." Basiogen, the communications officer, looked up from his tablet. He was young, barely older than Jiwoo, with nervous hands and quick eyes. "I've been searching the databases. There's nothing like it in any records. No species matches. No genetic markers. It's like it's a ghost." "Ghosts don't eat ration bars," Yoon Taejin muttered. The engineer had been quiet during the meeting, but now he spoke up. "Look, I know it's strange, but Jiwoo saved its life. Maybe it's just grateful." "Grateful?" Kale Roth laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Creatures like that don't feel gratitude. They feel hunger. Right now it's attached to her because she fed it. What happens when it gets hungry again?" Captain Choi held up his hand for silence. "We have 2 options. 1, we try to remove it from the ship. 2, we keep it and hope it doesn't kill us all." He looked at each crew member. "Vote." The vote was close. Captain Choi wanted it gone. Kale Roth agreed. But Park Mina, Yoon Taejin, and Basiogen voted to keep it. "At least for now." "Fine," Captain Choi said. "But if that thing shows any sign of aggression, we space it." "Understood?" Everyone nodded. In the cargo bay, Jiwoo was sitting with the creature. She had started calling it Duri in her head. It seemed to fit. The creature had 2 natures, terrifying and gentle, dangerous and protective. Duri's eyes followed her everywhere. When she moved, it moved. When she sat, it settled nearby. It was like having the galaxy's largest, deadliest puppy. Park Mina came down to run more scans. "How are you feeling?" she asked Jiwoo. "Tired. It doesn't like when I sleep. It keeps watching. Let me check something." Park Mina ran her scanner over Jiwoo, then over Duri. She frowned at the results. "This is strange." "What?" "Your heartbeats. They're synchronized. When your heart rate goes up, so does its. When you calm down, it calms down." Park Mina looked at Duri with new eyes. "It's connected to you somehow." Over the next few days, Jiwoo started to understand the connection better. She could feel Duri's emotions, vague and distant but real. When she was happy, Duri seemed content. When she was scared, Duri became alert and protective. It worked both ways too. She could sense when Dury was uncomfortable or needed something. The creature communicated through feelings rather than words, sending impressions directly into her mind. Basiogen spent his free time researching. He went through old databases, ancient texts, even myths and legends from 100 different species. Most nights, Jiwoo could see him on his tablet, reading by dim light. One evening, he came running to the cargo bay. His face was pale. "I found something," he said breathlessly. "Old records from before the Galactic Union existed. Thousands of years old." Jiwoo stood up. Dury raised its head, sensing her interest. "There are stories," Basiogen continued, "from the First War, about creatures called Void Sentinels, guardians that protected innocent lives. They were supposed to be unstoppable, unkillable." He looked at Dury. The descriptions match. The scales, the multiple eyes, the way they move through space. "What happened to them?" Jiwoo asked. Basiogen's expression darkened. "They were hunted. Every species in the galaxy came together to wipe them out. Not because the Sentinels attacked anyone, but because they couldn't be controlled. The powers back then feared what they couldn't own. So they killed them all? They tried. The records say the last Sentinel was destroyed 3,000 years ago." Basiogen looked at Dury again. "But maybe they missed one." That night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. She sat next to Dury, running her hand over its scales. They were warm to the touch, smooth and strange. "Is that what you are?" she whispered. "A Void Sentinel?" Dury made a low sound. Not quite a purr, not quite a growl. Through their connection, Jiwoo felt something. A memory, maybe. Or a dream. She saw flashes of stars and battles. She saw other creatures like Dury, fighting to protect smaller beings. She saw betrayal, fire, pain, loneliness that lasted for centuries. She saw Dury, alone in the dark station, waiting to die. Tears ran down her face. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm sorry that happened to you." Dury's eyes glowed brighter. It pressed its head against her hand. The next morning, an alarm woke everyone up. A distress signal was coming through. Basiogen put it on the speakers, a woman's voice crackling with static. "This is Colony 79. We're under attack. Raiders. They're killing everyone. Please, if anyone can hear this. We have children here. Please help." The bridge went silent. Captain Choi checked their position. "We're 3 hours away. But we're a cargo ship, not a military vessel. We can't fight raiders. We have to try," Park Mina said. "Try what? Get ourselves killed too?" Captain Choi shook his head. "I'm sorry for them. But our duty is to this crew." Jiwoo was in the cargo bay when she heard the signal. Dury heard it too. The creature suddenly stood up, its scales rippling with agitation. Through their connection, Jiwoo felt something powerful. Something she had no words for. It was rage. Pure, focused rage. Not at the raiders themselves, but at what they were doing. Hurting the weak, killing the innocent. Dury knew what raiders were. It had fought things like them before thousands of years ago, and it wanted to fight them again. Jiwoo felt it waiting. Waiting for her. The choice was hers. She stood up and walked to the bridge. Everyone turned to look at her. "We have to help them," she said quietly. Captain Choi sighed. "Jiwoo, I know you want to, but we can't." "Yes, we can." She looked at each crew member. "We have Dury." Kale Roth stood up. "You want to use that thing as a weapon? Are you insane?" "I'm not using it as anything. But it wants to help. It knows what those raiders are doing and it wants to stop them." "How could you possibly know that?" Jiwoo touched her chest. "I feel it. We're connected, and I'm asking you to trust me." Captain Choi looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at Park Mina, who nodded slowly. At Yoon Taejin, who shrugged. Even Basiogen gave a small nod. Finally, Captain Choi sighed. "I'm going to regret this. Set course for Colony 79. Maximum speed." Kale Roth stared at him in disbelief. "You're actually doing this?" "Yes, because if I don't, I'll regret it more." Captain Choi looked at Jiwoo. "But if this goes wrong, it's on you." Jiwoo nodded. "I understand." She went back to the cargo bay. Dury was waiting, its body tense with anticipation. "We're going to help them," Jiwoo said. "But you have to be careful. Don't kill unless you have to. Okay?" Dury's eyes glowed. Through their bond, Jiwoo felt understanding. The Void Sentinel was going to war. Colony 79 was burning when they arrived. Through the view screen, Jiwoo could see the small planet below. Smoke rose from multiple locations. Above the colony, 6 raider ships circled like vultures. They were bigger than the Hanul's Hope, armed with weapons that could tear through the cargo vessel in seconds. "This is suicide," Kyle Roth said flatly. Captain Choi's jaw was tight. "Open a channel to the raiders. Maybe we can negotiate." A face appeared on the screen. The raider captain was scarred and smiling. Well, a cargo ship. "Did you come to donate supplies? How generous." "We're responding to a distress call," Captain Choi said. "Leave the colony alone and we'll leave you alone." The raider captain laughed. "You're funny. I like that. Tell you what, transfer all your cargo, and I'll let you run away with your lives." "Fair deal." "Not happening." The raider's smile faded. "Then you die. Target that ship. Tear it apart." The channel closed. The raider ships turned toward them, weapons charging. "Shields up," Captain Choi ordered. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers." "Shields won't hold against that firepower," Yoon Taejin said quietly. Jiwoo was already running to the cargo bay. Her heart pounded in her chest. This was insane. They were all going to die. But she thought about the children in that colony. She thought about how Dury had been left to die, abandoned and alone. Someone had to stand up. Someone had to fight. Dury was waiting. The creature's entire body was vibrating with energy. Its eyes blazed like stars. Jiwoo went to the airlock controls. "You ready?" Through their bond, she felt certainty. Dury had been born for this. She opened the cargo bay doors. Space howled beyond, cold and empty. Dury moved. The creature launched itself into the void, and Jiwoo gasped. She could still feel it. Even in the emptiness of space, their connection held strong. She could feel Dury's excitement, its focus, its purpose. On the bridge, alarms went off. "Something just left our ship." Baseojin shouted. "What is it?" Captain Choi demanded. "I don't know. It's moving too fast. It's heading straight for the raiders." The raider ships opened fire. Laser beams and missiles filled the space between them and the Hanul's Hope. Dury moved through it all like smoke. The creature twisted and flowed, impossible to track. Weapons that should have hit it passed through empty space. Dury moved between shadows that shouldn't exist in the vacuum, appearing and disappearing. The first raider ship never saw it coming. Dury landed on the hull and tore through the metal like paper. Jiwoo felt each movement through their bond. The creature was precise, surgical. It wasn't destroying randomly. It was targeting weapon systems, engines, life support. The ship went dark and began to drift. "What is that thing?" The raider captain screamed over the open channel. Dury was already moving to the second ship. Then the third. The raiders tried everything. They shot at it, rammed it with their ships, even tried to flee. Nothing worked. Dury was faster than their ships, stronger than their weapons, and absolutely relentless. But it wasn't killing anyone. Jiwoo could feel that through their bond. Dury was disabling ships, not destroying them. It was giving the raiders a chance to surrender. Most of them took it. By the time Dury reached the 6th ship, the raider captain was screaming into every channel. "Demon! There's a demon protecting the humans! Stay away from them! Stay away!" His ship's engines fired at full power. He ran, leaving his crew behind. Dury let him go. The creature returned to the Hanul's Hope, slipping back into the cargo bay. Jiwoo was there waiting. She threw her arms around Dury's massive form, laughing and crying at the same time. "You did it. You saved them." Dury's rumble sounded like satisfaction. On the bridge, the crew was silent. They had watched everything on their sensors. They had seen what Dury could do. "Get me a channel to the colony," Captain Choi said quietly. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She was crying. "Thank you. Thank you so much. We thought we were dead. What was that thing?" Captain Choi looked at Jiwoo, who had just entered the bridge. "That was our guardian. The colony wanted to honor them, but Captain Choi declined. They had done what needed to be done. That was enough. But as the Hanul's Hope left the system, something was happening across the galaxy. The raider captain had broadcast his warning far and wide. Other raiders heard it. Then traders. Then military ships. The message spread from station to station, planet to planet. A human had bonded with something ancient and deadly. A creature that moved like shadow and fought like a legend. Some species remembered the old stories. The Void Sentinels. The unstoppable guardians. Baseojin showed Jiwoo the messages flooding the communications array. "We're famous. Or infamous. People are scared. Of Dury? Of what it means. A Void Sentinel hasn't been seen in thousands of years, and now one is protecting a human cargo technician. He shook his head. The galaxy doesn't know what to think. Park Mina had been running constant scans of both Jiwoo and Duri. She called Jiwoo to the medical bay one evening. I figured out how your bond works, she said, at least partially. Duri is reading your emotional state and responding to it. Your compassion, your desire to help others. That's what it's connected to. So if I was cruel, it wouldn't care about me. I think it wouldn't even notice you. Void Sentinels bond with compassion, not power. Park Mina smiled. You fed a starving creature when you had barely enough food for yourself. That's what saved your life. That's what made it choose you. Jiwoo thought about that. She had given Duri her last rations without thinking. It had seemed like the right thing to do. Maybe that was the point. Yoon Taijin came to her next. I've been thinking. If Duri is a Void Sentinel and they were supposed to be extinct, maybe there are others. Hidden, sleeping, waiting. Waiting for what? For someone to wake them up. Someone like you? That night Jiwoo dreamed, or maybe Duri was sharing memories again. She saw dozens of Sentinels, all sleeping in dark places across the galaxy, waiting for a call, but the dream turned dark. She saw ships, a fleet of them massive and armed. She saw weapons designed to kill things that couldn't be killed. She woke up gasping. Duri was alert beside her, its eyes glowing with warning. Something was coming. Baseojin burst into the cargo bay minutes later. We have a problem. A big one. He showed her the message on his tablet. It was an official transmission from the Galactic Union Military Command. Attention cargo vessel Hanul's Hope. You are harboring a Class X threat. You have 48 hours to surrender the creature to military custody. Failure to comply will result in your classification as enemies of the Galactic Union. A fleet is being dispatched to your location. Jiwoo's blood went cold. They're going to take Duri. Or kill it. And probably us too. Baseojin looked at Duri. The message is signed by Admiral Corvin Shale. I looked him up. He's famous for hunting dangerous creatures. He's never failed a mission. Captain Choi called another meeting. Everyone gathered in the bridge, even Kale Roth. We have two choices, Captain Choi said. Surrender the creature or run. If we run, we become outlaws. Every port will deny us. Every station will hunt us. Our lives as we know them are over. If we surrender Duri, they'll kill it, Jiwoo said quietly. Probably. Silence filled the bridge. Then Yoon Taejin spoke. I vote we run. Everyone turned to look at him. That creature saved an entire colony. It could have killed those raiders, but it didn't. It gave them a chance. He looked at Jiwoo. And it's protecting one of our own. We don't abandon family. Family, Kale Roth said. It's a monster. So are we to someone, Park Mina said softly. I vote we run too. Baseojin raised his hand. Run. Captain Choi looked at Kale Roth. And you? The security officer was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up and walked out without a word. I guess that's a no, Captain Choi said. He looked at his crew. If we do this, there's no going back. We know, Park Mina said. Captain Choi smiled. It was tired but real. Then let's give them a chase they'll never forget. Yoon Taejin plot a course, somewhere they won't expect. Baseojin, encrypt all our communications. Park Mina, prepare medical for injuries. He looked at Jiwoo last. And you. Keep that creature close. We're going to need all the help we can get. Jiwoo nodded. Through her bond with Duri, she felt determination. The Sentinel understood what was coming. They were going to fight. And this time, the entire galaxy was watching. The Hanul's Hope ran for 6 days before Admiral Shale found them. They had jumped through 4 different systems, changed their identification codes twice, and hidden in an asteroid field. It didn't matter. The Admiral's fleet found them anyway. How? Captain Choi demanded, staring at the sensors. We've been careful. We covered our tracks. Baseojin's face went pale. Someone on the ship is giving away our position. Everyone looked at each other. The crew was small. They all knew each other. Who would betray them? Yoon Taejin figured it out first. Kale Roth, he was against this from the beginning. Where is he? Captain Choi asked. They found the security officer in his quarters hunched over a hidden transmitter. He looked up when they entered and there was shame in his eyes. I'm sorry, Kale Roth said quietly. I thought I was doing the right thing. The right thing? Park Mina's voice shook with anger. You sold us out. That creature is dangerous. I was protecting the galaxy. Captain Choi grabbed the transmitter and crushed it. Get out of my sight. Kyle Roth stood up slowly. The Admiral knows everything. Your position. Your course. How many crew you have? He looked at Jiwoo. And he knows about the creature. He's bringing weapons specifically designed to kill Void Sentinels. Those don't exist, Base Yojin said. The Sentinels were killed thousands of years ago. Any weapons would be lost. Not lost, preserved. The Galactic Union kept them just in case. Kale Roth moved toward the door. I know you hate me, but I'm telling you this because I don't want you to die. Surrender the creature. It's your only chance. Get out, Captain Choi said coldly. Kale Roth left. The Admiral's fleet appeared on their sensors an hour later. 15 ships, all military, all heavily armed. A transmission came through. The face that appeared was hard and scarred. Admiral Corvin Shale looked like a man who had fought too many battles and won them all. This is your last warning. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Captain Choi took a breath. Admiral, that creature saved a colony. It's not a threat. Everything is a threat until it's under control. I've read the reports. I know what it did to those raiders. Imagine what it could do if it decided humans were the enemy. It won't. It's bonded to one of my crew. Bonded? The Admiral's expression darkened. That's even worse. Void Sentinels were exterminated because they couldn't be controlled. A creature that powerful should serve the Union, not one random human. It doesn't serve anyone. It chooses. Then it will choose to die. You have 1 minute to comply. The channel closed. Captain Choi looked at his crew. Ideas? We can't outrun them, Yoon Taejin said. Our engines are already pushed to maximum. We can't fight them either, Park Mina added. Not those numbers. Jiwoo stood up. I'll go to them. If they want Duri, they can have me too. Maybe that will be enough. Absolutely not, Captain Choi said firmly. They'll just follow us forever. Someone has to end this. Through her bond, she felt Duri's response. The Sentinel was angry. Not at her, but at the idea of her surrendering. Duri had a different plan. The creature moved before anyone could stop it. It flowed through the ship like liquid shadow, heading for the airlock. Wait! Jiwoo ran after it, but Duri was already gone. The airlock opened and the Sentinel launched itself into space. On the bridge, alarms screamed. The creature is heading straight for the fleet. Admiral Shale's voice came over the open channel. All ships open fire. Kill it. The fleet opened fire. Beams of energy and missiles filled the space. But this time was different. The weapons the Admiral brought were designed specifically to hurt Void Sentinels. They tracked Duri's movements, anticipated its dodges. One beam caught Duri's side. The creature screamed and Jiwoo felt the pain through their bond. It was like being burned alive. No, she shouted. Duri tried to fight back, but the fleet was coordinated. They boxed the Sentinel in, attacking from all sides. Another beam hit. Then another. Through their bond, Jiwoo felt Duri's strength fading. The creature was tough, but it wasn't invincible. Not against weapons made to kill its kind. She felt Duri's thoughts. It was trying to protect her, trying to draw the fleet away from the Hanul's hope so she could escape. Turn the ship around, Jiwoo said. What? Captain Choi stared at her. I said turn around. We're not leaving Duri. We can't fight that fleet. I don't care. Turn around! Something in her voice made everyone freeze. It wasn't just anger. It was command. For a moment, Jiwoo sounded like she had the authority of ancient guardians behind her. Captain Choi turned the ship around. They raced toward the battle. Through the view screen, they could see Duri surrounded by military ships taking hit after hit. The Sentinel was still fighting, but it was slowing down. Get me a channel to Duri, Jiwoo said. I don't care how. Just do it. Bae Hyojin worked frantically at his console. I can boost your connection through the ship's transmitter. It might work. Do it. She closed her eyes and focused on her bond with Duri. The connection was weak, flickering like a dying flame. She pushed harder, sending everything she felt through it. Love, gratitude, loyalty. You're not alone, she whispered. You'll never be alone again. Fight, please fight. Duri heard her. The Sentinel's eyes blazed with new light. Its scales rippled and something changed. The creature stopped running. Stopped dodging, it roared. The sound wasn't just noise. It was a call. A cry that echoed across space itself, traveling faster than light through dimensions humans couldn't see. And something answered. Energy signatures appeared on the sensors. Not one, not two. 6 massive shapes dropped out of hyperspace around the battlefield. Other Void Sentinels. They were smaller than Dury, weaker. They had been sleeping for thousands of years, barely alive. But they heard the call and they came. The military fleet froze. Admiral Shale's voice came through, sharp with fear. "All ships fall back. Fall back now." But the Sentinels didn't attack. They surrounded Dury, forming a protective circle. Their eyes glowed in unison, creating a barrier of energy that deflected the military's weapons. Jiwoo felt tears on her face. Dury wasn't alone anymore. None of them were. Admiral Shale's face appeared on the screen again. This time he looked shaken. "What have you done?" "I didn't do anything," Jiwoo said. "Dury called for help and they came. Just like Dury came when I needed help. There are 7 of them now. Do you understand what that means?" "It means you can't kill them." The Admiral was silent for a long moment. "This isn't over. The Union will never accept this. Then the Union has a problem, because I'm not giving them up." She cut the channel. The fleet didn't attack again. They held their position watching, waiting for orders. The Hanul's Hope slowly approached the Sentinels. Jiwoo went to the cargo bay and opened the airlock. Dury flowed back inside, followed by the other 6. The cargo bay was crowded now. 7 Void Sentinels, all watching Jiwoo with glowing eyes. She should have been terrified. Instead, she felt safe. Park Mina came down carefully. "Are they all bonded to you now?" "I don't know, maybe." Jiwoo reached out to touch the nearest Sentinel. It leaned into her hand like Dury did. "This changes everything," Baseojin said from the doorway. "The galaxy thought Void Sentinels were extinct. Now there are 7, and they all answered a human's call." Kale Roth appeared behind him. The security officer looked at the Sentinels with wide eyes. "I was wrong," he said quietly. "I thought I was protecting everyone, but I was just afraid. I'm sorry." Jiwoo looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Help us. Make it right. How?" "Tell the galaxy the truth. Tell them what really happened here." Kale Roth activated his personal recorder. "My name is Kyle Roth. I'm a security officer on the cargo vessel Hanul's Hope. I betrayed my crew because I was afraid of creatures I didn't understand. But I watched something today that changed my mind." He recorded everything. Dury's call for help. The other Sentinels arriving. The way they protected each other instead of attacking. These creatures aren't weapons. They're guardians, and they choose to protect those who show compassion. The galaxy tried to exterminate them once because we feared what we couldn't control. We can't make that mistake again. He sent the recording to every channel he could access. Within hours, it spread across the galaxy. People watched. They saw the Sentinels. They saw Jiwoo, a simple human cargo technician surrounded by the most powerful creatures in existence. And they saw that she wasn't afraid. The Admiral's fleet held position for 3 more days. Then slowly they withdrew. Orders had come from higher up. The Union wanted to negotiate, not fight. Captain Choi set course for neutral space. They had a lot to figure out, but for now they were alive. The hunt was over. The neutral station orbiting Kepler 442 was ancient and massive. It had been built thousands of years ago as a meeting place for different species. No weapons were allowed. No military action. Just talk. The Hanul's Hope docked 3 weeks after the standoff with Admiral Shale's fleet. In that time, the galaxy had changed. Kale Roth's recording had been seen by billions. Everyone had an opinion about the Void Sentinels, about Jiwoo, about what it all meant. Some species wanted the Sentinels destroyed. Too dangerous, they said. Too powerful. History proved they couldn't be trusted. Others wanted to study them. Learn from them. Maybe even bond with them the way Jiwoo had. A few species remembered the old stories and believed the Sentinels had returned for a reason. The galaxy was facing dark times. Maybe they needed guardians again. The Galactic Union called for a hearing. They wanted to see Jiwoo and the Sentinels in person. They wanted to decide what would happen next. Captain Choi didn't want to go. "It's a trap. They'll take the Sentinels the moment we land." "Maybe," Jiwoo said. "But if we don't go, they'll never stop hunting us." "We have to try," Park Mina agreed. "The galaxy is watching. If the Union does something unjust, everyone will see it." So they went. The hearing chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Jiwoo stood in the center with Captain Choi, Park Mina, Yoon Tae-jin, Bae-seo-jin, and Kale Roth beside her. Behind them, in a specially reinforced area, the 7 Void Sentinels waited. Admiral Shale was there too, standing with other military commanders. His expression was hard, but Jiwoo thought she saw doubt in his eyes now. The Union speaker, an ancient being whose species Jiwoo couldn't identify, called the session to order. We are here to determine the fate of the Void Sentinels and the humans who harbor them. Admiral Shale, present your case. The Admiral stepped forward. The Void Sentinels were exterminated for good reason. They're too powerful, too dangerous. One of them destroyed 6 raider ships without effort. 7 of them together could threaten entire fleets. They could, Jiwoo said quietly. But they don't. You speak out of turn, the speaker said. I'm sorry, but this is important. Yes, the Sentinels are powerful. Yes, they could destroy ships. But they chose not to kill anyone. They disabled the raiders' ships and let them surrender. When Admiral Shale attacked Duri, the other Sentinels came to help, but they didn't fight back. They just protected. Because you control them, another representative said. A species with blue skin and 4 arms. You've somehow enslaved these creatures. Jiwoo shook her head. I don't control anything. Duri chose to follow me because I fed it when it was starving. That's all. The other Sentinels came because Duri called them. Not because I ordered it. Prove it, Admiral Shale said. How? Tell the creature to attack me. If you don't control it, it will. If you do control it, it won't. The chamber went silent. Jiwoo looked at Duri. Through their bond, she felt the Sentinel's confusion. It didn't understand what the Admiral wanted. I won't do that. Because you can't or because you're afraid. Because it's wrong. Duri isn't a weapon. It's a living being that makes its own choices. Admiral Shale walked closer. He stopped a few feet from her, his expression challenging. Then I have a different test. Let me try to hurt you. See what the creature does. What? No, but the Admiral moved fast. He grabbed Jiwoo's arm, pulling her away from the others. It wasn't truly violent, more like a demonstration. But it was enough. Duri exploded into motion. The Sentinel crossed the distance in a heartbeat, placing itself between Jiwoo and the Admiral. All 7 Sentinels rose up, their eyes blazing. The temperature in the chamber dropped. The Admiral let go immediately. There, you see? It's dangerous. It will attack anyone who threatens her. But Duri didn't attack. It just stood there, waiting, watching. Jiwoo put her hand on Duri's side. It's okay. He was just testing us. Stand down. Duri hesitated, then slowly backed away. The other Sentinel settled down too. It listens to you, the speaker observed. It trusts me. That's different. An old representative from a species that looked like walking trees spoke up. I remember the old stories. My ancestors spoke of the Void Sentinels. They said the Sentinels bonded not with power, but with compassion. They served no master. They chose to protect those who would protect others. Fairy tales, someone muttered. Are they? The tree being gestured at Jiwoo. This human fed a starving creature when she barely had food herself. She risked her life to save a colony. She stood against a military fleet rather than abandon a being she cared about. That's not control. That's something the galaxy hasn't seen in a very long time. What do you mean? Jiwoo asked. I mean that maybe the Sentinels didn't die out. Maybe they went to sleep because there was no one left worth protecting. And now they've woken up because they found someone again. The chamber erupted in argument. Some agreed. Others thought it was nonsense. Admiral Shale held up his hand for silence. When he spoke, his voice was different, quieter. I fought to protect the galaxy my whole life. I thought that meant eliminating threats before they could hurt people. But maybe I was wrong. He looked at Jiwoo. You showed more courage than any soldier I've commanded. You didn't fight because you wanted power. You fought because it was right. And the Sentinels responded to that. He turned to the speaker. I withdraw my recommendation to eliminate the Sentinels. Instead, I propose we learn from them. And from the humans who earned their trust. The chamber went silent again. You're certain? The speaker asked. I'm certain. If we try to control or destroy the Sentinels, we'll just repeat history. And we'll prove we learned nothing from our mistakes. The vote took hours. Representatives argued, debated, and challenged each other. Jiwoo sat through all of it. Duri pressed against her side. Finally, the speaker called for the final vote. All in favor of granting the Void Sentinels protected status and allowing them to remain with the humans they have chosen. More than half the chamber raised their hands, tentacles, or whatever they had. The motion passes. The Void Sentinels are under the protection of the Galactic Union. Any attempt to harm them or separate them from their chosen companions will be considered a crime against sapient beings. Jiwoo couldn't believe it. They had won. Captain Choi put his hand on her shoulder. You did it. We did it, she corrected. All of us. The hearing ended, but the consequences were just beginning. The galaxy had accepted the Sentinels. Now they had to figure out how to live with them. Park Mina established the first medical facility dedicated to studying and helping Void Sentinels. She discovered they needed very little food but thrived on emotional connection. They weren't just guardians. They were empathic beings who had been lonely for thousands of years. Baseojin continued his research and found references to dozens of other Sentinels, sleeping in hidden places across the galaxy. Some species came forward with locations. Others wanted to find them first, for good or ill. Yoon Taejian upgraded the Hanul's Hope to carry all 7 Sentinels comfortably. The ship became famous, a symbol of humans working alongside ancient guardians. Kale Roth spent months making amends. He traveled to colonies and stations telling his story, how fear made him betray his crew, how he learned that trust was stronger than control. Some forgave him, others didn't, but he kept trying. Captain Choi was offered command of a larger vessel with better pay and more crew. He turned it down. I've got the strangest cargo ship in the galaxy. Why would I want anything else? And Jiwoo? She became something the galaxy hadn't seen before. Not a soldier, not a scientist. Just someone who showed that compassion could be stronger than fear. Other humans started bonding with Sentinels. Not many and not easily. The Sentinels were careful about who they chose. But it happened. Slowly, the galaxy began to change. One night, 6 months after the hearing, Jiwoo sat in the cargo bay with all 7 Sentinels. She had a pack of ration bars, better quality than the ones she'd given Duri that first time. She broke them into pieces, offering one to each Sentinel. Duri took hers first, as always. The others followed one by one. They didn't need the food, but they understood what it meant: connection, trust, family. Thank you, Jiwoo whispered, for choosing me. Through her bond with Duri, she felt something back. It wasn't words. It was more than words. Thank you for feeding me when I was alone. The Hanul's Hope continued its journey through the stars. In the cargo bay, a human sat surrounded by the galaxy's most powerful creatures, and none of them were afraid. The deadliest beasts in the galaxy had found their purpose again, not as weapons, not as threats, as guardians. And it all started because one human girl shared her last rations with something that was starving. Sometimes, the most powerful force in the universe isn't strength or fear or control. Sometimes it's just kindness. Simple, honest kindness. The galaxy was learning that now, and the Void Sentinels would make sure it never forgot.